Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another segment of a tarot reading from Carol Weaver for this week, April 20th through April 27th. And please check out my new website called theweaverstarot.com. Really that simple. You can find me on Facebook as well, The Weavers Tarot. And so here we go. We're going to find out what's going on this week. What are the underlying energies for this week? So here we go. I'm going to shuffle the cards. So I'm asking my spirit guides, what is happening this week from April 20th, this Monday, through April 27th on Sunday. What kinds of things do we need to know? Okay, give it a good shuffle. Bear with me for a second here. And I just called on my spirit guides to assist with this reading. The highest good come through for information from what we need to know this week. April 20th through April 27th. Okay. Giving a little shuffle. Okay, we're almost there. A real good shuffle here. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to lay out the cards. The first card is the Magician card. The first card in the Tarot that I use from Aleister Crowley. It's the Thoth deck. So anyways, this is the significance for this week, is how do we use our energy? How do we use our creativity? Given the pandemic situation, as we go on, and even President Trump is encouraging governors to open up business as usual. The beginning was phase 1. So anyway, so what's up in the air for a lot of people? What to do, how to do it, how to proceed. Using creative energy to manifest new things in life, or to take old things or situations and transform them into in a more useful way with new tools. Okay, so the second card overlapping that is it's a challenge, because the challenge for this reading for this week is we want to be aware of any tendencies to fall back into old habits. We must face it, the world is changing. And if you look at this, you'll see a goat with horns, and then you'll see 2 circles at the bottom, and it's people involved in the dance of life. And how you do that is we're called to make a choice in how we put forth our actions into new plans, new projects, new ideas, transforming old habits into new habits. That is our challenge. The temptation, of course, is to resort into old patterns, and maybe for some of us that may include addictions. So beware of any, old habits. It could also be speaking about indicating a desire to change habits or stop particularly bad habits, bad diets, quit smoking, whatever it might be. Okay, so Okay. So what's on top of the situation, maybe what I would call the motivator in this desire for change, or applying new skills, or inventing new ideas, or going along with new business plans, or creating a new business. Whatever that motivation is, it really has to do with, well, you have the Ace of Wands here, certainly indicates a desire for newness in life. It is definitely the card for starting new relationships, new business partnerships, um, you know, this past week, there may have been some completions for people, and it's sort of like, now, what's next? And the sense of it so far is that there are a lot of people that are ready for newness in their life to reinvent as we go along. So we'll pull some more cards, see what's going on. Okay. Now, as I recall, this is the card that came up in the past. Just this past week, we had the Hierophant card. Oftentimes, this card depicts it represents conformity to rules, conformity to policies, regulations, conformity to the law, conformity to institutions. That's the one hand, that's what it represents. On the other hand, also, it represents teaching abilities, counseling, teaching, administering. The Hierophant is somewhat of, like a moral character. It can be sort of like a priest or a pastor. It could be a teacher. He could be a mystical teacher also, but he could also be a teacher of traditions, whether it be like a teacher in a traditional school, this kind of thing. I think the biggest thing in this position being that this card represents the basis of a situation. Well, the world out there is changing, and some of our tactics and skills are changing as well. A lot of people lost their jobs. This suggests to me there may be a lot of attraction to doing online businesses, which I think could be very successful at this time. And there's a great need for online services, basically, and it's appropriate. People would like to go get counseling. You can't do it face-to-face anymore, so you have to use like a teleportal, some kind of online service or platform to conduct counseling sessions, for example. Well, anyways, and the other thing about this card is it's an opportunity to set example behaviors for other people. The introduction of let's reopen the economy now, proposed by Donald Trump with phase 1, is how are we going to slowly reopen businesses and maintain social distancing and appropriate behaviors to minimize the risk of exposure. Well, this is some of the questions that would go with this card, the Hierophant. Setting new guidelines, setting an example, setting new behaviors, being a teacher online. These are all things that are represented by the Hierophant. Okay. So, the Lover's card, this is more in the distance past. So, what's kind of behind us is a lot of us may have lost jobs. We've been married to our jobs. Some of us have been at our jobs for 20 plus years, 10, and a lot of contracts have gotten broken because of the advent of the coronavirus pandemic. And so, this time is calling for sort of like a reunification with yourself. How do you renew yourself and have a new relationship with yourself, having to let go of, your past schedule. You get up 7, come home 6 p.m. from work, and, you engage about a set of habits, eating dinner, watching TV, go to bed, get up the next day, go back to work. And that's the kind of contract or relationship we may have had with ourselves. But now we might be encouraged to form new ways with ourselves, new ways in our relationship with others. Sort of reinventing yourself and forming a new marriage with yourself. Reevaluating your priorities and reasserting your sense of power in new ways, in healthy and beneficial ways. Okay, so we'll come back and we'll talk about this a little bit more. Okay, in the near future, we have the Queen of Cups. Let's look at this card. The Queen of, she's a more mature individual in the suit of water, because this represents water. So we're really talking about the emotional life. And when I see this card come up in readings, I think about what do we have to do to recommit to our sense of nurturing the self, the soul. What do we need to do to reinvent our lives that is satisfying to the soul level? Because if you look at this card and you look at this figure, and she is sort of like kind of hidden, but you can sort of see her as a figure back there, and you see this sort of swirling like energy. She's wrapped up in this energy, and it goes down into the water and then back up and around her and above her crown chakra. And this card is about soul searching, and it's about looking within yourself and reinvent yourself. This is like sort of a contrast to this card, the Lover's card, where maybe some of our contracts in the past have been broken through loss of jobs, being laid off, a number of things, even perhaps, your family being a member of your family, maybe perhaps a husband and a wife and with children, having to reprioritize your day and help your kids study at night, with homeschooling. But there is some time. You must find some time to sit and be with yourself and look at within yourself what it is that you need to go forward in life and have a new idea and a new plan, a new business, some new ideas, what sparks your passion, what would make you happy, So a lot of sort of self-evaluation going on. Okay. All right. So, yep, this is a card here. This represents you in the reading. Or us, all of us, because this is a collective reading. And it's the Truce card. So coming to some peace, really, and that's what it says down here. It says peace. So whatever it is that we've had to let go of in the past, contracts, job situations that didn't work out or got laid off, we have to make peace with that and kind of come back to our center and decide what it is again, what we want in our life, or how can we reformulate our life, how can we go move forward with new ideas, with a new sense of passion, you know, dreaming a new path, a new career. But in order to do that, you have to let go of what's happened, and that takes time. But you're going to get there because you have the peace card. And so it's a good card to get because it really shows acceptance of the situation. And then, you know, in your environment, you have the indolence card, and this card kind of came up in the past too, the past reading last week, as I remember. And you know, when we lose something, whether it be, you know, a loved one, or that we lose our job, and my heart goes out to you, and for all of us that have been going through a lot of changes recently. Even a trip to the grocery store has been kind of hard, you know. It's kind of hard grocery shopping these days, putting a mask on and all of this. So, you know, with all these changes going on, we're often, I mean, at this time, it's really hard to be certain about what you want to do, how to go forward. It's still kind of shocking. I mean, the news today is even shocking. You know, Donald Trump's proposal of, you know, let's reopen business and get back to normalcy like tomorrow. And yet we're hearing governors talk about how important it is to maintain these CDC guidelines and wash your hands and practice social distancing. So I would say the confusion of media can increase this sense of indolence, which means, you know, how do I move forward? What is my next step? And so, I mean, this is the time to really just take your time and try to spend time alone, and connect with your higher self. Ask God, Creator, what's next for me? How do I move forward? You know, some of us might be experiencing some stress at home, you know, taking care of our partners and taking care of our kids, because now we're responsible for homeschooling, basically. And I would just say, take it easy, take your time, and don't rush with anything. Definitely spend a lot of time alone. You know, balance. You really got to balance that out, because it's really in this card, and this was a card that came up last week. So a lot of the energies that were playing out last week appear to be playing out in a similar fashion this week. Last week it seemed to be more about control issues, getting to the place where we can just let go and accept what is happening, and spend time with ourselves and be okay with that, and realize that this too shall pass at some point. Even though we never experienced a pandemic in our lifetime, we will get through this. You know, so you need this time to adjust. You need this time to just be and not expect a lot of yourself and dream, and just sit and meditate however you see it for yourself, and allow the Creator to speak to you through your imagination, through your dreams, through your heart, because it is a time for adjustment, you know, and we're still in that time. This is we were last week. I mean, last week was more about accepting what has happened, and not projecting into control issues and control dynamics with other people, and staying centered and not giving your power up to power struggles, whether it be yourself with other people. But this week, it really is about, okay, I'm coming to accept it, but oh my God, what do we do? You know, I'm still lost. I'm not sure what to do. Just follow all the guidelines, but for my life personally, or for my family, what is next? And that is going to take a little bit of time, is what I see with the cards. Because you have to remember here, these two cards were sort of in opposite places. Do you remember me showing you these cards, the Lover's card, and then this card here, the Queen of Cups? Now, the Queen of Cups, like as I've said before, is a more mature individual. It's a more feminine figure. And she's balancing, I mean, beyond acceptance of a situation as it is, with what we're all faced with. It's now, in this dream time, this meditative state, going into your heart and looking at what you really want in your life, and understanding that what has happened, and that it's possible to bridge new relationships and partnerships in business, work opportunities, and other things, So the outcome, hopes and fears, is the Star card. It's a very, very good card to get. It really is about honing in on your desires and your dreams. Like I said last week, you may have some old ideas and some projects sitting on the back burner, some really great ideas, and getting caught up in the everyday, get up to go to work, come home, take a shower, get your meal, watch some TV, go back to bed, get up the next day, do it all over again in that busy schedule. We may have left those old projects on back burners. So this is really a time to sort of reinvent and rethink those projects. Think about those old ideas you might have had, money-making ideas, or projects you've wanted to do around the house, or a hobby or a side business. So a lot of us will be looking at ways that we can reinvent ourselves in the coming days. So I hope you've liked my reading for April 20th through the 27th. If you enjoy this reading, I would ask you please subscribe to my channel and leave any comments that you would like, and please do check out my website at theweaverstarot.com. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.